Hey, this is Jill Simonello with Pickup Truck Plus SUV Talk, and today I am driving a Ford Maverick hybrid. Okay, so we have already covered this vehicle extensively, and I don't want to do a first drive impression, and I'm not going to compare it to the Hyundai Santa Cruz because we've done that. Look on the channel, it's there. Instead, what I want to do is I want to follow through on a challenge that was issued during a live stream, and that is, what fuel economy am I going to get in the hybrid? Tim and I both placed our guesses, and a couple of followers also placed guesses. So I'm going to tell you what the EPA estimate is, what the guesses were, and then I'm going to tell you if I actually hit the numbers or not. Now, full disclosure, I'm actually in the middle of the test drive. If you'll notice, I am not in Chicago right now. So, yeah, we're going to circle back, and I don't even know how I did. So let's take a closer look at that fuel economy challenge, and we're going to check out the engine too, right now. Now, the Ford Maverick Hybrid has a 2.5 liter engine and an electric motor, and it is mated to a CVT, or continuously variable transmission. Total power output for this vehicle is 191 horsepower. All right, so that's what this is, and the EPA says you should get 33 miles per gallon on the highway, 42 miles per gallon in the city, and then 37 miles in combined driving. So let's talk about the fuel economy challenge, because per usual, Tim and I disagree about what I was going to get in this vehicle. He basically said the Ford Maverick was awesome and was getting way better than 40 miles per gallon in his driving, which, by the way, don't know what that kind of driving would be, unless you're talking about hypermiling. But I said that I wasn't going to get anywhere close to that. So I'm going to actually pick up my notebook, because let's go over specific guesses here. So the idea is I'm going to, I drove 200 miles already. I've got another about 200 miles on the way back to Chicago. And I'm going to not only look at the trip computer, but I'm also going to do some hand calculations to try and figure out what the vehicle says my fuel economy is going to be, what the what the hand calculations say it actually was. And all right, so I'm not kidding. I actually took notes here. And Tim said that I would get at least 38 miles per gallon in my fuel economy during my test week and test drive. So again, I probably am going to be doing about 40 miles per gallon in this, or 40 miles in the city, and then the rest of it is going to be highway driving. Now, I said that I'm going to get about 28 or 29 miles per gallon in combined driving. And yeah, so clearly I did not think that the EPA would be accurate here. And then we had a couple of guesses from users. Elliot Manning said I would get 34 miles per gallon in combined driving. Juan said I would get 40 miles per gallon in combined driving, so he was more optimistic than Tim. I'm impressed. And John McCarger said I would get 28 miles per gallon in combined driving. So John and I are more on the same page. And then you've got Elliot kind of in the middle, and you've got Juan, who's on the same page as Tim. So again, I'm probably doing about 40 miles in city driving. Some of it so far has been during rush hour traffic, so stop and go. And then a big chunk of the driving has been on the highway, so looking at about 70 to 80 miles per hour. All right, I am beginning leg 2 of my road trip, and that means that I am on my way back to Chicago. So I've already driven more than 200 miles, and I have about 180, 200 miles to go. So before I give you the end results, obviously I can't do that yet, I want to invite you to join the guessing game. So if you would like to guess what you think I'm going to get in the end, be sure to comment below. The low end right now, as I said earlier, is about 28 miles per gallon. On the high end, somebody thinks I'm going to get 40 miles per gallon. So what do you think? Comment. Come on, you want to guess. Make your guess. Don't cheat. Don't flip to the end and then make a guess. Make a guess now. All right. The other thing I want to do before I get into driving impressions, I just want to point out this is an XLT trim, so this is not the base Maverick. It is a hybrid. It is front wheel drive, but not the XL trim. This is the XLT, and it does have a couple of options. It has the spray and bed liner, and it also has some metallic paint, some optional paint here. So not the base truck, but it is a keyed in ignition, and it does have some more plasticky finishes and cloth seats. But overall, none of that really bothers me. I mean, the keyed ignition is a little bit weird, but I own a keyed in ignition vehicle, so what do I know? Okay, driving impressions. Overall, driving impressions are pretty favorable. I like how this drives. The road noise isn't bad. I have actually, on social media, I've had a lot of people ask me, is there a lot of road noise creeping into the cabin? And you do hear some tire noise, you do hear some wind noise, but overall, it's not bad. I had the Ford Bronco a few weeks ago, and that was bad. This is pretty good. So definitely manageable for a road trip, and the seats themselves are really comfortable. So I didn't feel fatigue or discomfort during like the 3 hours down. We'll see how I feel in the 3 hours back. But overall, I think this is a great around town or even a road trip vehicle. And it's great to drive in the city because it's easy to parallel park. It's easy to pull into a tight parking space. And then you bring it onto the highway and you take a road trip, and it's also comfortable. So able to listen to podcasts, able to make phone calls over your Bluetooth audio, and you hear everything just fine. So in terms of overall driving impressions, I think the Ford Maverick gets 2 thumbs up. I am really enjoying it, and it's pretty comfortable. So if you don't mind some more basic looks and no heated seats, which, by the way, I really wish I had those right now, but if you don't mind that, I think this XLT trim is pretty nice and attractive. So now it's time to look at those results. All right, here we are. I am back in Chicago, and it is now the moment of truth. I've driven more than 400 miles. I just fueled up, and I have my gas receipt here. I did some calculations here, so let's see where things lined up. Did you get your guess in? Again, no cheating, so write it down if you have a last minute that you want to get a guess in. Okay, so here we are. I drove a total of 418.2 miles. So that was around Chicago, and then to Indianapolis, back to Chicago, and then around Chicago a little bit again. So the majority of these miles were highway miles. I'm going to point that out. I'm also going to say that the temperatures in Chicago and Indianapolis were mid 30s, upper 30s to mid 40s. So not super warm, but not super cold either. I don't really think it hit below freezing during the test period. So didn't do cold starts, tried to drive normally. All right, those I think are all the caveats. Oh, one more caveat that you need to know. The company that provides these vehicles to me, they always fuel up with premium fuel. So most fleet managers who bring vehicles to journalists use premium fuel. Mine does as well. But I can guarantee you, if a journalist is filling up, which they occasionally do, they're probably not using premium fuel. So there's probably a mix of fuel, but predominantly premium fuel is in this vehicle. Okay, that is all the caveats. Are you ready for the numbers? Okay, I'm going to delay just a little bit more because I'm going to tell you, I was kind of keeping track of my segments along the way, and I noticed when I was in the city, and so like the fuel economy, the trip computer flashes up at the end when you flip off the vehicle, and it tells you what your fuel economy was for that segment. So when I was driving around in the city, I was getting about 28.1 miles per gallon, and that was about a 2.5 mile trek from my gym back to my house. And there are about 15 stops, either stop signs or stoplights along the way. Speed limit is probably around 30, 35 miles an hour. So not going super fast, but I'm stopping a lot. and that was 28.1 miles per gallon. That was very close to what I said I would get. However, when I was first picked the vehicle up and I drove 12 miles from O'Hare back to my home in Chicago, it's about a little bit more than 12 miles, and it was rush hour traffic. I picked it up at 5 o'clock and I literally coasted the whole way. I mean, there were a couple of stops, but it was nothing fast, and it took me, I want to say, like an hour to get home. So 12 miles an hour, you can understand that I was not going fast there. And in that segment, I actually managed to get 43.7 miles per gallon. So that is closer to what Tim thought I would get. However, with combined driving in the city, on the highway, going highway speeds, like real highway speeds, not, 55 miles an hour. We're talking 70, 75 miles an hour, because Chicago to Indianapolis, I-65 is 70 miles per hour. So, looking at something more than 55 miles per hour, the trip computer said that I averaged 31.9 miles per gallon. 31.9 miles per gallon. So then I got my receipt here. Yeah, I held it up right. I got my receipt here. If you want to see how horrible the gas prices are in Chicago right now. So I've got my receipt, and I did the hand calculations. 418.2 miles, 13.212 gallons of gas to fill up. That means I averaged 31.6 miles per gallon. So really close to the trip computer is what I want to say. And while neither Tim nor I got it right on the head, and I'll point out anybody who pre-guessed, they didn't get it either. I was the closest. I'm going to point that out because I said 28 or 29 miles per gallon. So I'm more right than Tim. I'm just gonna point that out and leave it there. All right, so thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this fuel economy challenge. If you want to see more of these in the future, comment below and let us know what vehicle you would like to see them in. And I guess make sure that you visit us on the web at pickuptrucktalk.com, and I will see you down the road.